Hello, all of my wonderful people out there. Today I've got a rather different story that I don't normally talk about because I'm used to people thinking I'm crazy anyway. Last thing I need is to be told, like, oh, she's so crazy, she believes in ghosts and shit like that. I believe in the possibility. That is a better way to put it. And I do believe that from this experience I had that there might be something more out there that we can't necessarily see, at least not with the naked eye. Or maybe, like, we can only see or hear or experience what they want us to. I don't know. But this one's really interesting, and I really, really wanted to talk about it. This happened back in early 2017, and it's about the witch grave of Tallahassee, Florida. And before I really go into my experience, though, I do want to give a little backstory about this grave and the whole legend of it. The woman who is buried at the grave, or under it, I guess, her name was Elizabeth Budd Graham. She was born October 19th, 1866, and then she died on November 18th, 1889. She was 23 years old. Nobody's really sure how she died per se, because again, she was 23, and even back in the late 1800s, that was an early age to die at. But some people believe that she was poisoned. Some people believe, like, maybe she died of influenza. Like, only God knows, I guess. But she did come from a rather wealthy family, or at the very least, her husband was wealthy. And her gravesite was beautiful. It was a monument in its own right. There is a 12-foot tall obelisk, and it is feathers carved on it. It's got ivy vines carved into it, and there is the crown with a cross in it, like up at the top right before you see the inscriptions, and it is all made out of French granite. In front of the obelisk there is a granite vase there. And so to get to the obelisk, you actually have to, like, walk around the vase. And then there is, like, this small granite wall that goes around the plot. So, and it was really, for back in the 1800s, something like that was really, really expensive. And again, it's all French granite. It's beautiful. It is all completely beautiful. But there is something off about her grave, and that is that it faces the west, whereas the Christian custom, at least out here in the west, in the Western Hemisphere, is to face the east. I guess it has something to do with, like, the sun rising and the sun setting. I don't know, but it's very unusual for a grave to be facing the west. And this is, I want to say it's like the only grave in Tallahassee that does. I don't know. But in this cemetery specifically, which is known as the Old City Cemetery, it's definitely the only one that faces the west. It's, and because of the way that it's placed and the fact that she died young, it makes people wonder, like, what's going on here. And because of this, rumors spread that she was actually a witch, and that the reason her husband married her was because she put a love spell on him, and she but there was no real evidence to back it up, none whatsoever, except for an inscription, an epitaph from Edgar Allan Poe's poem Lenore that he wrote for his wife Virginia when she passed away, and she was 24 when she passed away, so I guess the reason her husband chose that for her was because they were around similar age, and I guess maybe he felt the same way about his wife that the Poe felt about his. But here's the epitaph. I had to write it down so that I wouldn't forget it, because I can't read it over and over and over again until I get it right. Ah, broken is the golden bowl, the spirit flown forever. Let the bell toll, a saintly soul floats on the Stygian river. Come, let the burial rite be read, the funeral song be sung, an anthem for the queenliest dead that died so young, a dinge for her, the doubly dead, in that she died so young. Now, believers in the legends interpret the queenliest dead as in her being the queen of the dead, and the fact that the soul is floating along the Stygian river rather than going under per se is represents how specifically in the Bible that a witch's soul is corrupted, so it can't cross over. So floating along the river is supposedly symbolizes the fact that the soul is stuck between life and death and can't belong in neither anymore, either. And that the Stygian River itself is actually the river Styx from Greek mythology, or things like that. And the doubly dead means that she had to be killed twice or something like that. I don't know. But that's where a lot of the stories came from. But unless you want to believe that Edgar Allan Poe's wife was secretly a witch as well, and that's the whole poem was about her being a witch or whatever, I don't believe that is a valid argument for her being a witch for Bessie anyway. Bessie is the nickname for Elizabeth Budd Graham. I don't know why they chose Bessie, but you know what? If it made her happy. Now, the legends about the grave itself are really, really interesting in the fact that if you go to her grave, whether it be day or night, and you just visit, or you walk on the grave or whatever, or something like that, she will actually come to you in your dreams that same night. And it's also said that if you look into the granite vase, you'll see either a soul or a dark spirit or something like that staring back at you. And what is also a known fact is covens of witches will actually hold ceremonies and rituals at her gravesite, specifically during the full moon and the new moon, which are two very important things in witchcraft. I know, because I have dabbled in it before, and I don't mind it, honestly. It's just me though. I want to say, I can't remember. Sorry. Oh my goodness. But it would seem as though even if she was not truly a witch, she wasn't remembered as a witch when she was alive, it would seem as though she has become a witch in her own right because of the fact that her grave was set up oddly, and all of the rumors and everything it made her a witch, I guess you could say. I don't know. But my personal experience with Bessie the witch is, or in this particular case, I would say Bessie the ghost. My best friend and I, we very much love stories about the paranormal and things like that, and this took place in early 2017. I want to say it was just a couple days after New Year's Day. We were on our way from Georgia because I had spent a week in Louisiana with her. So we were driving all the way from Louisiana to Georgia, just the two of us. Probably not the safest thing in the world, but that's what we did. And I said, you know, we're going to be passing through Tallahassee. Do you want to stop by this alleged witch grave and, you know, pay our respects and just check it out, because we love stuff like that? And she's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I said, do you want to bring her like an offering or something, because she gets almost a new offering every single day. I meant to put that in there too. Like bring her flowers or something. She's like, yeah, sure, let's do that. So we went to the Winn-Dixie when we got to Tallahassee, and we picked up some flowers and we brought it to the grave. We like kind of just walked around. We checked it out. You could easily tell that people had been leaving offerings there for a long while. I decided, you know what, I'm going to try this one out, and I looked into the vase. I did not see a dark spirit. I did not see a corrupted or broken soul or anything. I didn't see a demon, none of that stuff. But what I did see was a little concerning. It probably wasn't really meant anything, but at the same time, it is something that you want to be wary of, because what I saw was a bracelet, a tennis ball, and a very crumpled up, very wet, very falling apart piece of paper. And I know from like experience that materials like that look like something that might have been used for a binding spell or something like that. So I called Skylar over to look at it, because that's my best friend's name. And she looked at it and she's like, okay, we should be a little cautious, which of course you would. If you need to be cautious in general when you're hanging around a cemetery, because the police can, like, you know, escort you out or like accuse you of trespassing, even if it's like, you know, open or whatever. You just want to be careful. Not to mention there are creeps that do hang around cemeteries sometimes, and I think it would make the common person uncomfortable. So we just decided we would be wary. We also decided that we would check out some of the other graves, because these are all from like the 1800s to maybe the early 1900s. I don't remember like the youngest grave we saw or whatever. But we decided we were going to check it out. So we like walked around. We were looking at a family plot. I remember that. Like specifically, I think we were looking at the ages, because again, a lot of people died young, and it's just kind of makes you appreciate life a little more to be born in this time area where there's a lot of modern medicine that is wonderful. But all of a sudden, we just got this sudden urge that we needed to leave. So, like, we decided, okay, we're gonna leave, but before we did that, we decided we would be respectful and go back to Bessie's grave and, you know, bid her farewell. So that's what we did. And then we started walking back towards the gate of the cemetery so that we could get out. And as we were on the path, we were walking back to the entrance. All of a sudden, we hear something behind us that sounds like footsteps, and it scared us so badly because of the fact that we had already had that urge that something in that cemetery wanted us to leave. So we were getting the hell out of there, and when we heard those footstep sounds, we just took off. So like, to this day, we do believe that something definitely chased us out of that cemetery, whether it was intentional or not. Like, something chased us out of that cemetery that day, because the wind wasn't blowing or anything like that. So I do not believe that it was like, you know, leaves rustling or whatever. I didn't feel a single breeze at all. But later that night was all the more interesting because Skylar and I both actually had a dream about a woman coming to us. And specifically for me, I don't remember exactly what she looked like. All I remember is I was talking with a woman who was in a long white gown. I don't remember like what her face looked like. I don't remember the color of her hair or anything like that, though my guess would probably be dark, but that like that's like classic creepy ghost story thing is girl in a long white dress with dark hair. But I specifically remember just a long white dress and the fact that I was talking to a woman. And it was a conversation. I don't remember anything else about it. I don't remember the conversation. I don't remember like what the dream itself was truly about. I don't remember what the woman's face looked like, anything like that. I just remember talking to a woman who was wearing a long white dress. And then I woke up the next morning. I texted Skylar and I said, "Hey, did you have a weird dream last night?" And she said, "Yeah, I had that dream." She came to me in my dream too, because and while I do believe it was real, I also know that there are several explanations for that. One of them being my own mind, and that is kind of, if you're told something will happen to you that night in your dreams or whatever, your brain will actually make it happen. Even if it's not a real thing, your brain can and will make that happen just because you're expecting it. I guess it's like mind over matter or something like that. I don't know for sure. I'm not a psychology major person, whatever. I do know basic psychology, which is how I can explain this away, but at the same time, I'm also open-minded enough where I know that maybe this is a real thing. I don't know. But that is my paranormal story time today. I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna make this video for my channel. If it takes off, that's awesome. If it doesn't, oh well, I still have a fun story to talk about with people. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to. It would really help me a lot if you did. Share this video with anybody you want to talk paranormal stuff with. If you want to discuss like the possibilities of what this might have actually been compared to, like, you know, what I believe happened and all of that fun stuff. I'm sorry, this is like the first time I've ever talked about ghost stories and stories and my paranormal experience and my belief in that stuff, so it's a little weird for me to be putting that out there, but you know what, I don't care at this point. I really don't. Alrighty, I love you guys. Peace out.